Math Blast Week 6, Decimal Numbers. Use the correct relational symbol to make each sentence true. 4 and 97 hundredths compared to 4 and 965 thousandths. These two numbers are given to me in standard form. It's important that I compare like units, and I'm going to start with the greatest place value. So I have 4 in the ones place for both numbers. I'm going to move to my tenths place where I see a 9 in both numbers. And now in the hundredths place, there's a 7 versus a 6. So it is in this hundredths place that I'm able to make the comparison. 7 hundredths is greater than 6 hundredths. So this whole number, 4 and 97 hundredths, is greater than 4 and 965 thousandths. For the next one, I'm given two numbers in unit form. I have 63 tenths versus 89 hundredths. I'm going to write these in standard form. 63 tenths means I need 63 to end in the tenths place. In order to make that 3 the tenths digit, I'm going to put a decimal right before it. 89 hundredths. I want 89 to end in the hundredths place. So to make that 9 there end in the hundredths, I need a decimal before the 8. Now I can compare. Again, like units must be compared. So I have 6 ones, and this number doesn't have any ones. So 6 ones is greater than no ones. Therefore, 63 tenths is greater than 89 hundredths. The last two numbers here are given to me in expanded form. I have 7 times 10 plus 3 times 1 plus 7 times 1 hundredth. I'm comparing that to 8 times 10 plus 3 times 1 plus 7 times 1 hundredth. Now, one thing I'll notice here is that the 7 times 10 and the 8 times 10 is the greatest place value representation I have here. And 7 times 10 is 70, and 8 times 10 is 80. And I know that 7 tens is less than 8 tens. So everything else in that number is the same. You'll see that we have the 3 ones, and we have the 7 hundredths. So it's right here where we're able to make our comparison without even having to write that in standard form. The left side is less than the right side here. Adding decimals. 38 and 4 tenths plus 2 and 5 tenths. It's important that I make sure I add like units. So I'm going to line up my place values here. I have 38 and 4 tenths, and I want to add 2 and 5 tenths. Now note the 2 will not go under the 3 because that 3 in 38 and 4 tenths is a 3 tens. The 2 in 2 and 5 tenths is 2 ones, so it needs to go in the ones column. Now that I have my place values lined up, I can add like units. Starting with my tenths, I have 4 tenths plus 5 tenths, giving me 9 tenths. In the ones, 8 ones and 2 ones is 10 ones. We'll bundle those 10 ones and make a 10. 1 and 3 tens would be 4 tens. So the sum, the answer to my addition problem, is 40 and 9 tenths. Next, I have 63 and 6 tenths plus 42 hundredths. I'm going to again line up my place values. So let's go 63 and 6 tenths, and I'm going to add 42 hundredths. So make sure I have no ones here, 4 in the tenths column and 2 in the hundredths column. Now my like units can be added. I have 2, 10, we'll bundle 10 of those and make it into a 1. 1 1 and 3 ones is 4 ones, and 6 tens in this column. So the sum here is 64 and 2 hundredths. Moving on to subtracting decimals, I have 25 minus 7 and 47 hundredths. Again, we want to line up our place values so that we are subtracting like units. I have 25, that's 2 tens and 5 ones. When I subtract, I need to subtract 7 ones. So I'm going to put that in my ones column. And 47 hundredths, 4 tenths and 7 hundredths. All right, subtracting here. I know that in 25, the decimal is behind the ones place. I can think of there being zeros back here. And now, if I have 0 hundredths and I want to take away 7 hundredths, I need to go over and decompose to get myself some hundredths. So there are no tenths to decompose. I'll go to the ones place here. I'll get one of my ones, leaving 4 ones, which allows for 10 tenths to fall out. Now I still need to turn some hundredths from my tenths. So let's take one of the tenths. That leaves me 9, and the one I'm taking is going to let 10 hundredths fall out. All right, here we go. 10 hundredths minus 7 hundredths is 3 hundredths. 9 tenths minus 4 tenths is 5 tenths. Don't forget our decimal. In the ones place, 4 ones minus 7 ones. Oh, I need to go get some more ones. I'm going to come over to my tens. I'll take one of those, which leaves 1 10 there, and I'll let 10 ones fall out with the 4 that are already there, and that's why that becomes 14. 14 ones minus 7 ones gives me 7 ones, and 1 10 minus nothing is 1 10. So the difference, the answer to my subtraction problem here, is 17 and 53 hundredths. Now we're taking 4 and 74 hundredths. 4 ones, 7 tenths, 4 hundredths, and we want to subtract 2 ones, 7 tenths, 5 hundredths. All right, I start with 4 hundredths to take 5 hundredths away. I'm going to go over and decompose one of my tenths. I'll leave 6 tenths here, let 10 hundredths fall out with the 4 that's already there, making that 14 hundredths that we have. We can take 5 of those hundredths away, leaving us with 9 hundredths. In the tenths column, I have 6 tenths. I want to take 7 tenths away. So I'm going to go over to my ones, and I'm going to take one of those ones, leaving 3 there. The one that I take, I'm going to decompose, let 10 fall out with the 6 that's already there. We have 16 tenths. Minus 7 tenths leaves me 9 tenths. And in the ones column, I have 3 ones, and I'm taking 2 ones away. That leaves me 1 1. Make sure we don't forget our decimal point here, because the answer is not 199, but 1 and 99 hundredths. Those are two very different numbers. Moving to the back side, 52 and 6 tenths times 4. We're multiplying decimals here. It asks us to estimate the product first. So estimating, I'm going to do a little rounding with that decimal number. 52 and 6 tenths is about 50. And I'm going to multiply that by 4. So I know that I can think of 50 as 5 tens times 4. And so that is equal to 20 tens. And we can write 20 tens as 200. Show all work to solve. Use a place value chart or an area model or the algorithm. So I'm going to use, let's go with the area model for this problem. I'm going to draw my area model here, and I want tens. I'm going to have 5 tens. I have 2 ones, and I have 6 tenths. So I just decomposed my 52 and 6 tenths into 5 tens, 2 ones, and 6 tenths. And I want to multiply all of that by 4. So 5 tens times 4 is going to be 20 tens. And I know that is 200. 4 groups of 2 ones is going to be 8 ones. And that's 8. And 4 groups of 6 tenths would be 24 tenths. And that is 2 and 4 tenths. So now I can add these numbers that I get, and it should be 208 plus 2 and 4 tenths is 210 and 4 tenths. So the product, the answer to my multiplication problem, is 210 and 4 tenths. And when I look back at my estimate, it should be around 200. I feel pretty good about that answer. I'm going to move to dividing decimals. Find the quotient. Report your answer in standard form. So we have 84 hundredths that we're dividing by 4. For this problem, I'm going to use a place value chart. So I have my ones. Here's my decimal. I'm going to have tenths and hundredths. Now I want to model on my place value chart my 84 hundredths. So there's no ones, there's 8 tenths, and there are 4 hundredths. And now I want to divide by 4. So to divide by 4 means I'm going to equally share those discs out into 4 groups below at the bottom of my place value chart there. Or I'm going to put bundles of 4 discs in a group. So I'm going to use the strategy here of putting 4 discs in the group. Let me change my colors here. All right, so if I put 4 discs in a group, you can see easily here that there are 2 groups that are able to be made in my tenths column. And then when I take my hundredths and I divide by 4, I put 4 discs in a group there, and there's 1 group that's able to be made in the hundredths column. Don't forget our decimal, and there were no groups in the ones place. So the quotient, the answer to my division problem is 21 hundredths. That's all for today, math friends.